All right, guys. So I want to make a quick video on like what is appraisal, what appraisal is not, and as a contractor, can you send your jobs to appraisal? When is the right time to send it to appraisal? And when should you not do that, right? So overview of appraisal and what it is. Appraisal is an informal method of dispute resolution, meaning informal, meaning that it is not through the courts. It is still a process of escalation, though. So the same way that you would retain an attorney or a third party to like escalate your claim to a higher level, there are fees with that. So just be mindful of that you might run into two fees. There's no silver bullet or magic wand with appraisal, so it's not like a one solution fix all. We'll just send this to appraisal and it's going to win the claim. There's components to it, right? So you're submitting your file to a three-party panel, two appraisers and an umpire. There's some politicalness to the appraisal process. So being aware of that the same way that the technical positions that you're submitting to the insurance company don't always hold merit. If they did, then like you wouldn't need to go to appraisal. You could just submit it to the insurance company and they would pay and happy day. But there are relationships with the appraisers, the umpires, and you're bound to this three-party panel where as one appraiser, you're trying to convince the other two to agree with you, at least in most part. So say that the appraisal doesn't go 100% well. You don't get 100% of what you're looking for. Maybe you get like 70% or 80%. Still successful potentially from like where you started. Maybe you were at like $2,000 and now we're at like 45,000 to replace either the like the roof system or whatever it might be. It's important to speak with your insureds prior to advise them that like, hey, this isn't a sure shot. And we might get 60, 70, 80, 100% of what you're looking for. But say that we get 60 or 70, you're getting 60%, 70% of what we're looking for, but we're having to like escalate your claim. So we may be able to like finance the difference or the whole job if we don't get everything. And like, that's cool. You won't be out of pocket like 60, 70, 80%, whatever we settle with. Or if we say we get 100%, there are going to be fees with that. The same way that you might pay an attorney like 30%. It's not as typically expensive to go to appraisal, but just being mindful that there are going to be fees. So if you get 100%, you might be chipping out some of those. When is it ripe to go to appraisal or when your file's set, right? So you need to have coverage extended. If the insurance company either denies the claim in whole, like we're just not paying for it, you can't send that to appraisal. Or say that they're just paying for shutters, but they didn't pay for any part of the roof system. You need to get at least like a shingle. So potentially like going after box vents and then getting the shingles around those. Potentially like just a box vent if that opens up the door to shingles. But it's always better to get some component of what you're going after for the extension of coverage and to get that in writing, right? You also need to have a dispute or an open dispute with the insurance company. So if you're the contractor and you're just working off the insurance company scope and you're submitting like supplements, but you haven't actually submitted an estimate, you need to, because if there's not two estimates or opposing estimates, then there's not a dispute, because how could there be if there's only one estimate? So you need to have a full estimate with everything and anything that you could possibly need on that job included prior to submitting it for appraisal. It's really important with specific carriers like State Farm because they no longer have like the one paragraph appraisal clause language in their policy. They've got like 2 pages, and there's prerequisites that you have to meet. One is submitting a report of the differences prior to 10 days prior to appraisal, which would just be a full-fledged estimate of anything and everything that is in dispute on the loss. And if it's not submitted, then it cannot be appraised or included in the appraisal award. Just important things to note. So that's what you need to be ripe for appraisal. You should also be mindful of like the amount of dispute. If you have a $3,000 dispute on a roof, it's probably not ripe for appraisal. Like you could go, but you're going to have fees with the appraiser and potentially the umpire if it escalates, right? And then if the two appraisers can't agree on an umpire and they have to go to the courts to get a court-chosen umpire or a court-appointed umpire, then there may be fees with that as well. So The range of dispute may vary depending on, like fees and the amount of time that's necessary to conclude those, or the complexity of the appraisal. It's just over overhead and profit, may be different than like the total roof system. So things to be mindful of. When you cannot send jobs to appraisal, again, is if there's no coverage, or they have like denials out, that kind of thing. So things to be mindful of. Hopefully that's super helpful for you guys. I'm Cole with Hope Public Adjusters. We're a tool for the tool belt for contractors. You just use us when you need us. We want to be the resource that you go to when you have issues on claims, or just need some expert assistance on taking it to the finish line. You can connect with us through our app, Hope Public Adjusters, downloadable from the App Store and Google Play, or give us a call. Thanks.